the subject of today, of this workshop, is really about pitching, because, well, I think it's something quite important, but still, I thought I would name the presentation "Pitching or Not Pitching," to understand exactly, why you should pitch, why not pitching sometime, and to who you want to pitch, and how can you adapt what you pitch to the different people. So that's basically giving you some general information and overview about how to pitch and how to prepare yourself for pitching, which is, to be honest, a difficult exercise. To do it right is quite difficult. So it needs quite a lot of preparation. So people talk about pitching, like that, you can pitch, etc. In fact, it demands quite a lot of work, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So first, just a little bit about SpielFabrique. I mean, I think you met already my colleague Odile, but just to remind you, for some people who were not there, we are based in Düsseldorf and Berlin in Germany, even though we are two French people leading this company, but we are based in Germany for more than 20 years. And we have three main pillars where we are working on. First, we have a yearly acceleration program. So basically to professionalize different companies, studio, relatively young game studio, but not only. We have also people who have been doing a couple of games or even more and want to go through an acceleration program. This program is really focusing on the business side, so we are not looking at design or game mechanics, etc., but we are more working on finance, on monetization, on communication, on publishing, with a lot of experts on international basis, and helping the studio in the acceleration program to basically to get ready to finalize the financing and working with publishers and financiers. So that's our focus. The second pillar that we have is that we have developed quite a few concepts about co-production in video games. So a little bit similar to what is been doing in cinema and animation, but for the video game sector. And we have now two types of programs and markets. We have one which is more in Europe, so between European countries working together. So we started 4 years ago with two countries, France and Germany. And now this year we have 5 countries part of it. And our goal as from next year is to involve many more countries from Europe, and hopefully Serbia could be part of it. So that could be interesting. And the idea, and I will talk a little bit about that later anyway, is to co-develop projects. And then we have just launched our new platform for between Africa and Europe. So there again, it's about professionalizing African studios and helping them to find co-producers in Europe. We have just launched the first call for project last week for Africa, and we are looking for African stories basically to be developed on game, and we are doing a mentoring program for them, and then next year in April they will be able to meet some European game developers who could be interested to co-produce with them. So just saying that, if you are interested in Africa for different reasons, because you are curious, or you are interested in that, or you would like to develop project that could be sold in Africa, which is a very big market of a lot of people, a lot of potential customers, of course, send me an email, let me know, and we can select you to come and meet basically the African studio. And finally, we are doing quite a few, let's say, consulting projects where we are working for different, especially public institutions. So, for example, today it's a little bit what we are doing now with this one workshop. But one big project we are doing is that we have started for the German government a European think tank on financing video games in Europe. And the idea is to analyze, talk, debate with different financiers in Europe to understand how we can speed up and leverage, financing in Europe to make Europe a bit, bit further, a bit coming to the top of the world, basically, because today, obviously, when we talk about financing, it's a lot driven by Asian or American publishers and financiers. And in Europe, we have very good stories, we have very good studios, but we are missing a little bit on the financial side. So again, that's something, if you are interested to talk about that, you can join the debate. So the next debate will be on the 15th or 16th of December. We are still looking at the exact date. And it will be anyway streamed, and you will be able to better understand, I think, what's the situation in Europe about funding and the different types of funding. And so it's giving you there just an idea a little bit about the different projects, different partners that we have. So Arte has been a very strong supporter of us, and then many other European and countries and regions in Europe. So as I say, we are two people. So I think you met Odile already, who has a very long experience in the game industry, working for Ubisoft, and now working as a professor for the Cologne Game Lab in Germany. And so I will maybe more focus on me today. So I'm coming more from the financial side. So I've been working for the last nearly 25 years now in really funding and financing creative companies in Europe. I've started, my background is a lot about cinema. I've been doing a lot of projects in co-production and financing film projects. And I've been really trying to focus much more on gaming for the last 5 years. But my background is really about finance and on public and private side. So on public through a lot of public policy and developing financial instruments in different countries for the cinema or the gaming industry for your public institution. Also at European level, I'm doing a lot of public policy as well for the European Union. And for example, with the European Investment Fund about this guarantee system that we set up in Europe. So the focus is really about developing, investment scheme for that. And then my next project that I'm doing at the same time at SpielFabrique is I'm CEO of a company called Media Deals. And Media Deals is a pan-European private investor network focusing on 4 areas: on gaming, on audiovisual, on music tech, especially, and fashion tech. And we have a group of about 70 investors. So I'm talking about private investors, so business angel, venture capital, etc. And we invest together in different companies or projects in this area. Sorry, I've got. Hold on, I'm just coming back in 2 seconds. Sorry. Sorry, I'm back. As I say, today I'm at home, and there are sometimes some small things to look at. To finish on this part, because I know I think some of you come from the comics sector. That's something that we are very interested, and especially we have developed a platform that is a digital distribution platform for comics based in France that is called Izneo. Maybe you know, IZNEO. And we are developing the international, basically the international development of Izneo in Europe. And we have set up now Izneo in Germany. We are doing this year Poland, Italy, and Spain. And definitely we are interested in all the different European countries. And it's really it's a pure player just on comics distribution, on subscription model in France, like for example, Netflix, and in other countries in pay-per-view. So I thought it would be interesting to mention that to you. So if you've got question about that as well, it's something I can talk about as well at the end if you want. So now let's go about really the pitching question, and I think for me the first point is really what is a pitch, and why pitching. I mean, we do a lot of things and questions about this pitching thing, and why do you want to do a pitch? So basically, it's to present your project or your studio, obviously, but I think important is to understand that most of the time the pitch are quite short. We'll talk about that, but normally you can pitch between, let's say, well, we will talk about the elevator pitch, what we call about, which is less than 1 minute. But I would say if you go to a fair, or if you have a meeting with different financier or publisher, we're talking about, let's say 5 to 10 minutes maximum. Most of the time, nobody wants to listen to a pitch more than 10 minutes because it's very long, because it's, people tend to see many pitches one after one. And if it takes too much time, they just are not interested and don't get really, you don't get really their attention. What is important is that you want to give them an overview, you want to give them an interest to speak to you, in details and to go into more detail. So you need to make it, to find the right balance between, okay, I say quite a lot of things and enough things, but not too much, because you want to have a discussion with them. And in any case, in 5 minutes, you cannot say everything, okay? So why pitching is really to convince your audience for a specific reason. And I insist for that because it's very important. There are the two main points in this phrase is audience. So which audience do you want to talk to? To who are you talking to? And you need to research what you're talking to. I mean, we're going to talk about all that. And for a specific reason. So for one really clear reason, and not for everything. Not like, okay, I'm talking to everyone and I'm talking about everything I do. No, I'm talking to one specific audience with one reason, because I want something from them. Okay, so to who you can pitch, I mean, okay, we're talking about video game, of course, publishers. So of course, for example, to get a deal, to get interest, to get a contract, to get an agreement from a publisher or platform. Financier, so getting funding, obviously, but what type of funding? Is it for the project? Is it for the studio? Is it a total budget? Is it a part of a budget? All that. And maybe other studios. So that's why I was talking to you about co-production. We'll talk about that as well. You could talk to other studios as well to collaborate, for example, co-production, but it could be as well to subcontract a project, or to decide to co-develop a project together without being a big co-production, So very important for me, and that's why I put this name to this workshop today, is each audience that you want to talk to, you need to identify, you need to understand who they are, and they have different objectives and interests. And your goal is to understand what's their interest on their side. Your goal normally should be clear. You want to get money, you want to get a publishing deal, but what is their interest? Okay, and that's really a very important question to ask. Well, maybe it's not the important question; it's the key question, I would say. So as I say, these are the different type of audiences that you want to talk. So, media, publisher, financier, platforms, other studios, etc. And the idea is very important. It's really to understand how you want to talk to each of them. So, for example, investors, financier, you have to understand that what they want is to understand. Okay, do you fit as a project what you propose? Do you fit in their portfolio? That means do you fit in the type of project that they invest in, and that it's coherent with what they are already invested in? So you see, it's not about you, it's about them. Okay? It needs to fit for their portfolio. Second thing, it has to fit in their risk willingness or their risk profile. Meaning, is it a fund that is interested in, I don't know, new project, new innovation, a big risky, etc., but with big potential? Or are they more interested in a game that is maybe more a traditional game and, maybe just on PC, etc., with a platform, and, maybe it's easier for them. Okay, so you need to, again, research what they are interested in and try to fit in this risk profile there. And the last point is to fit in their exit strategy, what we call exit strategy for investors. It means, what is their business model? How do they want to make money? And there are different ways investors can make money. I would say there are two general types. The first type is obviously to make money from your project. So for example, you do a game, you distribute it, and you make millions. Okay, they get a part of that. That could be interesting. But to be honest, it's a small portion of the investors. Most of investors are interested, in fact, to take shares in your company, so to take a part of your company. So, a minority share, so like 20%, 10%, 40%, and then to sell this share to someone else, to another financier at a later stage by making some plus, some money on the sale of the shares. Okay, so that's very, very different. And again, you need to understand what these people are looking for and what they are interested in. So now, if we move to something more traditional, is really about publishers, for example. Yes, the question is, do you fit with their track record? Do you bring added value to their portfolio of projects that they have? Is the content that you're bringing to them really can be monetized? Is there a growth potential? Is there a scalability potential? This is what people are interested in, is to understand, okay, how can you grow the revenues in the game you're doing? So for example, through live operation or through sequels or, things like that. Understanding how can you really develop the potential of the game. And then they need to understand whether it's a good investment that they will do, of course, with you. So, do you have a good calculated case? Do you have something that makes sense and that they can make some money out of it, so that they can understand it as well. And then, the future potential or exit, as I say, is to understand that. So that's what they are looking for. What is the team? What is the business? And what is the investment offer? Okay. So I guess what you have noticed already when I speak is that I don't talk about the game itself and the story. For example, I didn't put there, okay, a great story or a great game. It's not that it's not important. Of course, it's very important. But at the end, what the publisher and investors will be looking at is it's more on these points. Of course, they assume that your project is good and they will look at it and they understand that. But what they want to see is whether these points, the team, the business, and the investment case is good and is interesting for them and fits in what they want. Okay. The story of your game, what you want to do, the design, etc., is important. So it fits as well in the cultural fit, etc. But and in the portfolio. So of course, if they don't do this kind of project, it may be different. But they could also say, okay, we want to try something different. So for example, free-to-play mobile, when until now they've been doing just premium, for example. That could work, but in terms of team, maybe you fit in their portfolio. You see, but I'm trying to put you in the in the shoes of investors or a publisher who think more about that than the game. The game is 50%, but it's obvious in a way. What is missing very often is these 3 points. Okay, and for studios and media, of course, media is to promote your game or to promote to the community or to promote in general, so that people can can hear about you. So of course you can talk there more about the innovative gameplay, interesting storyline, etc. And then when you pitch to other studios, so for example in co-production, of course this is very important, this point, because they want to co-develop with you. So of course they have to be much more involved in the production, in the development of your project. And so you need to convince them as well on the gameplay and the story, because they need to understand that. Okay, so you see, it's quite different. So investors, of course, is much more financial. Publishers, and most of them are also financing. So it's a mix of the two in terms of distribution, of potential revenues. And then when you talk to more studios or media, is to go more into this innovation and something more differential as well. So it's why your project is different, and why do you want to involve them in your project? Because the idea of this co-production, for example, is that, I mean, the model we are developing is between two countries, where, for example, you could have a studio from your country, Studio A, for example, who develop a project, who has, of course, your project, your idea, etc., and could access some funding there. And then the idea is that they will join another studio in country B, so Germany, in France, or whoever, in Belgium, etc., where they will co-develop a project and share together expertise and IP, to develop a bigger project with better quality, bigger production, better market fit, etc. To have also, and it's very important, to have also a better negotiation position towards investors and publishers. You have to understand that, of course, if you are relatively young to the sector, you've done maybe just one game, or it's your first game. When you talk to a publisher who sees hundreds of pitch every year, you are in a weak situation, I would say, because obviously he knows all the things and he has the experience, and you is the first time and you want to bring your project. Okay, so the idea is through that as well, is to come together with another company and together to gather the expertise, the experience, and to be able to pitch something more interesting, where maybe you will ask also for less money, and maybe it will be easier to access. So you see what I'm trying to say again is that depending on who you're talking to, so like a studio or a publisher after you have talked with another studio, is very different, and so will be your pitch. It will be very different if you, for example, do co-production. So you have to present the two studios, how you are complementary, how you work together, what are the plus, and how you want to make it work. So it's very very different in terms of what you present. And the problem always is to work with these two parts, meaning the creative side. Oops, sorry. The creative side. Okay, I'm sorry. The creative side and the more logical part and the more developed part. So you have to talk to both. On one side you have to talk about analytics. You have to talk about metrics, you have to talk about data, you have to talk about risk, about how you want to manage the project, and on the left side so that people are more on that or are looking into that, will be interested and say, okay, I can trust these guys, they know how to do it. And at the same time, on the right side, you need to be sure that you're going to bring something emotional, something more creative, etc. So it's, of course, the story. It's the balance between the two, which is very difficult to find, but that you need to present in your pitch. You need to show both. You cannot just say, okay, we are a very creative company, and we're going to do the greatest creative project, and it's going to be great, etc. And not talking about project management, budget, all this fine. And on the other end, you cannot show a project and say, okay, we are the specialists, the kings of project management, and everything is planned, but the design and all the rest is very weak. So you need to find a balance. So it sounds obvious, but it's very difficult to put that into a pitch, because you are always tempted to go from one side to another. And yeah, the other point is, of course, to create emotion about what you do and about what you want to do. So why? Because, as I say, people are seeing hundreds of pitches, and they will forget what you say. I mean, you're going to talk, you're going to have a little bit of text, not too much, but you have some text. But they will forget, because they've seen hundreds after you, etc. So what do they remember? They will remember what they will be feeling about you. What was the impression? It was impression. Okay, it's a good balance. I trust the guy. It's interesting, etc. So I want to know more, and I want to talk to him again. The game was nice, was interesting, and he had a good approach. And I had the feeling that he knows what he's talking about, and he has a clear budget, etc. So I want to talk to this guy again. So that's really important, and this emotional part is very very important. But what I'm saying is that it's not emotion not just about the game, because of course most of the games are quite emotional. I mean, of course, you put what you like, etc. But depending on the game, it could be very strong or less strong. I'm talking more about the pitch should be emotional. The way you present things, the way you differentiate from the other ones, etc. That's a lot what is important about emotion. So that people have a feeling. That's what I wrote there. People will forget what you say, will forget what you did, but we remember how it felt to be with you. Like you have a feeling about listening to these workshops. Okay, this guy is very boring and very strange. We are not interested. Or you say, okay, there is something there. I understand a bit, but I'm not sure what it is. Okay, I want to know more. That's what you should give. I hope I can do that. Okay, the second very important thing is to be honest. So the best is to be you. Okay, so which means it's very important. Which means that this idea of left and right side, emotional and practical and organized, etc. It should be you. So not everybody is like that. Okay. So maybe it's through your team, maybe it's through support of people you have, maybe you have to share the presentation, but you have to stay you. If you're creative people, you stay as a creative. Maybe you need someone on the business side. If you are only on the business side, you need someone creative. So each of you needs to be you, to be true, to be passionate, of course, about what you do. That's the feeling I was talking about, to give emotion. And again, you see, it's a lot of things. So it needs to be you, it needs to be true. And at the same time, nobody's perfect. We are all doing different things where some parts we do maybe better and the other one maybe less. So you need to think about that. But think about it, meaning it's not like doing, and then thinking after, yes, it's a shame, yeah, I'm too much of a creative guy, and that's not what they only wanted to see. And so think about it before. After, it's too late. So yes, the idea is to build a dream and trust with these people, whoever they are. So a financier, publisher, another studio. What you want, again, we're back to this emotional thing. You want to build a dream together, but they start to see, okay, what is your ambition? What is your vision? Why are you talking like that? What do you want to say? What do you want to communicate? And I would say not necessarily short term, but more like mid-term, long term. Can I trust this guy? If it's a big hit and that we are going to work together the next 5 years, 10 years, do I want to work with these people? Can I build a dream with them? Can we do this dream together? Or at the end, okay, this guy is nice, but I don't think it will work long time. And the trust, of course. If people don't trust you, they will never give you any money, or they will never want to collaborate with you. So trust is very important. That's why you have to be you, etc., so that people don't have the wrong impression and the wrong perception about you. So this is very important, and you need to understand how you can build that in your presentation, in your pitch. It can be through the slides, but it can be also the way you talk, the way you talk at the beginning, at the end, etc. There are many ways to do that. Next is, very simple, is first impression. As you know, there is a good chance that you will pitch in an environment that is not easy. Maybe you're not going to be alone. There will be other people who wanted to pitch as well. So you have, a few minutes to pitch. So you have to get it right. You have to get it right, and you have to especially give the right first impression. Again, the goal is not to say everything. The goal is to give a good first impression and a motivation to talk to you further, to understand, how can we work with this person in the long run, or what could be the second step. And that's a very important point. The second step, the follow-up, what we call, you will meet financier, you will meet publisher, no question about that. The question is, how do you follow up with them so that they start getting into business with you? Meeting people once is very easy. Getting to talk to them and to come to an agreement or to get an interest is more difficult. So, when you prepare yourself, you prepare for a pitch, you have to ask yourself a lot of things, who are you making the game for? So the audience of the game, that is very important. People want to know for who it is. And what we don't want to listen is something like, yes, young people from 16 to 24, it's a lot of people, or for any adults, or, all, I don't know, women, etc. We want something more focused. So what is the exact audience, or what are the primary audience, what are the secondary audience, etc. Who will be working on it? So the team, who are you? How are you based? Where are you based? How do you work together, etc. Of course, you are a small studio. You don't have 20 people. You are maybe just one of 2 or 3 people. So again, be honest about that. It's fine. You are asking money. Are you looking for a project so that you can hire the right people as well? So say, okay, this is who we are. It's not. We need more people, but okay, we are building on that. What is the game itself? So what do you want to do, and what is the vision you have behind it? And that is very difficult to explain. What sort of game is it? So for which platform? When can you start? So for investors and publisher, timing is a very, very important point. Do they have money now? When you will be finished, or when you start, does it fit in their timing compared to the other project they have, etc.? How long will it take? What are your milestones? So they need to understand, to see if it fits their strategy, their timing, etc. So again, it's not really only thinking about you. I mean, of course, you have to put what fits for you, but you have to understand, okay, what could fit for them? It's again, you're thinking it's a customer. Okay, what does he want? And how can I fit? So after you find a compromise, you try to do that, but you need to see, how you're going to fit in their schedule. For example, investors. I mean, we have a lot of investors who, when they are in a period where they just invested in money, in projects. Sorry, well, they don't have money now, but they will exit maybe in 6 months, and then in 6 months they have a lot of money, hopefully. So, for example, it's interesting to know, because you could say, okay, they could say to you, okay, we think it's interesting, but we cannot invest now, but in 6 months we will be interested. That's obviously interesting for you, and you may think, okay, let's delay a little bit the project so that we can fit into that. So, this kind of thing. How will you develop the game? So again, the team, the technology we're going to use. So we have tools, tech engine, the team, and the question of success. Question of success is very, very important. What is success for you? And they will need to understand that. Is it to do a game? Is it to do the game you wanted? Is it to work with a dice team and friends? Is it to self-publish it? Is it to find a publisher? Is it to sell, a lot of games? Is it to be very profitable? There are many ways to explain the success. And when you pitch, it will be very interesting that if you could explain what sort of ambition you have and what sort of success do you have in mind, so that people understand again how you think, how you tick, we say, how you fit in their culture. Are you interested to take a lot of risk and try to make a big hit, or is it more like something you think it's going to be not a big hit, but it's going to make some money and work well because you want to do a second game based on that? I mean, many different ideas about that. But what is your idea of success? Preparing the pitch. Has this game potential? So of course, all these people, they want to know that. So the potential can be very different, can be very, let's say, limited, or a simple potential saying that, okay, we can sell some, but it can be a very huge potential. So again, it's a big range in what we talk about potential. Is it the right time, the right target, the right market? That's very important. The timing, again, is very important. Not just, as I said before, talking to financier and publisher, does it fit? But also, is it the right time for the market to present the project? You will see it's always like that. When you have an idea and you want to do a certain game, when you release it, you have always 5 or 10 games at least, but exactly the same or very similar, because it's like that. It's something that it's in the air, etc. Do you have the right team, and what do you want to change, or how do you want to improve, let's say, the team you have? So think about that, because these are what people are looking for. And maybe they're not going to ask you, they're not going to ask you, is it the right time for you to do it? See what you say about that, so that they understand what honors you will about. So again, to come back to what I said before, target, preset target definition. So really go into to that. Differentiation. What is your unique selling proposition? What makes you different? Your game different? Your team different? Why is it different? And at the other side, do you have a reliable project plan? Do you have a good project management? What sort of quality you're looking at? Are you going to be on schedule, etc.? So you need to reassure them with that. Okay, so this is simple. To who you want to talk to and to sell to, yes. What makes you different from the other ones, so competition, and why do you think you can execute the plan? We have a lot of investors. What they say to us at the end is always, they say, the project is great, the team is great, but I don't think they can execute. I don't think they can make it. And that's a no-go, because obviously you can have the best idea in the world. If you cannot execute it, it doesn't work. So that's about delivery, in showing in your pitch that you can deliver. So you can show value proposition, the team and the company, the business model. It's very important. Even, that's very important for me as well. Even if your business model will change 20 times, because things evolve, you need to explain what is the business model you have in mind, and make an offer. So that means, what do you want from them? Just don't say, this is my game, it's very nice, okay, thank you. No, it's, what do you want from them? We're looking for this kind of money. We're looking for this kind of support. Make it very clear what is your offer, what is your ask, when we say, okay? The team, we talk, what is the vision, the goal, the track record, the experience and background, the skills you've got, so that people can understand as well what you have to do that. So the pitching structure, basically you have to talk about all that in some way. You have to talk about the company, the team, what makes you special. The trailer, if you have a short trailer, of course, it's good and it shows, it shows many things about the creative side. You have to grab attention, you show the creative direction. If you want to demo, show a prototype, and if you have time, of course, that's good. The market, so what is the size? What are the opportunities? What is the audience? Financial projection, so what do you have in mind? Even if, again, it's going to be changed a million times, and you're going to work with them, etc. But it's important you say what you have in mind. Okay, how do you see that? Do you see that as a small game or a big game or medium or whatever? How do you see that? And an investment proposal. So as I say, okay, what are you looking for? What do you want? Because very often, I repeat myself about that. We end up with presentation where people look at each other and say, okay, what did they want? We're not sure, and it's a missed opportunity, and also people don't want to talk to you anymore. So this is a few things that are an important point that is good is when we ask people, publishers and financiers, which pages matter the most when they look at a pitch deck or a presentation. You see, the financial is the page that is the most interesting. They spend most of the time on the financials, on the team, after the competition, why now? So the timing, the company, the business model, and then you see product, etc., is coming later. So, for example, this is something you need really to understand is it's not that we don't want to hear about your project, but we don't want to hear only about the game design. We want to see what you have in mind, the team and the financial behind it. Okay, so what it means is that in your pitch, you cannot spend, let's say, 90% of your 5 minutes in the project and then spending a few seconds on the financial. That's not what people want. People want something more balanced, and if you follow this graphic, in fact, they want to see more about business metrics, business information than the project itself. So, it's 50-50, it's 40-60, it's around that, but it's not 80-20 or 90-10. And that's a very important point. I think I'm a bit late. It's 6:20. I think I have to finish around 6:30. I think so. I'm going to finish quite quickly about that. So again, for the market is really to show how you size this opportunity, and something very important is really that you do market research. That you explain why you are talking to this target group, why you are choosing this distribution platform. So understanding, they need to understand that you did some home research and that it's not something that you think on your side that it's interesting. Of course, this is it's an important part because of course you have a vision and you want to do your game. But if people have the feeling that it's just your idea, it's not what they want. They want to see that it's, let's say, seconded by some market research. So, competition is very important, figures, metrics. If financiers today are only thinking about metrics, okay? It's really, really important for them. So you need to make some research about that. The business model, again, what is the forecast you have? What are the production costs, but realistic, the timeline, what is the break-even point? When do you think you can make money? Does it make sense? And really being into that between your goals, what you want, what you sell, the reality, and what the customer has in mind. And that's where you can make some money. But you need to understand these 3 points to present the right business model. And again, don't think that, again, the business model that you have in mind, it's not going to be the final business model. There will be some more changes, etc. But at least we have a start somewhere. Okay, so in terms of positioning, it's very important to explain very quickly, so in one sentence, what your game is about, and very simply to describe it. And it's very difficult, as Albert Einstein is always used to say, to explain things simply in a simple way is the most difficult thing. Okay, and I guess, for example, today I'm struggling, to explain to you what you really need to do. But I would say, keep it simple, but really honest, and what you want to do is very important. So, the game proposal is important. What is the concept, the proof of fund, for example? What is the core gameplay loop, story, maybe some mood information, and unique selling points. That's of course quite important. So to sum up, I would say, it's really to analyze and understand who you will talking to, adapt your pitch regarding your audience. So change, maybe you don't have to change everything, but maybe you change the structure, you change a few slides, but please don't do the same pitch to everybody. They don't want to listen to the same thing, okay? Don't neglect the market research and the financial prevision. This is something that people want to see. If you don't have that, it's going to be quite negative. And keep it simple and clear, as I say. So, quickly, if you do an elevator pitch, you really need to identify your goal, explain what you do, communicate your USP, maybe a question to engage with the interest of the people, the mission, the USP, who you are, what is your target, your ambition. So, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, to go for that. So I guess I would like to finish there, I think, because, I think if you have some question, that could be a good time to do that. But, to do that, it's use quite a lot of images, not too much words, because if you have too much words, too much sentences, etc., people start to read the slides and then they don't listen to you, okay? And you don't get emotion, so don't do that. Video trailer is good, but not if it's not too long, obviously. Simple language, talking about the genre, mission statement, game proposal, and what makes it unique. That's very important.